I guess since we are talking about like trauma, there is like a collective trauma as well. We can pick up. Too that happens. If you're a certain ethnicity or if you're a man or woman, you can really tune into those things as well that we carry in our body. But you still, but it's still happening in you. It's real in you, so you just treat it as the same, really. But yeah. The one I tuned into was being racial stuff actually, just being mean as a non-white person in England and stuff. There was a lot of me, but I could tune into like the minority. You either have to really fight for it or you just stay small. But I'm in a stay small camp. Like it works on one angle. You can either be say no, I'm more important than anyone. I'm gonna have to fight for my life. There's that part that because I'm already a minority and I have to work harder than other people, white people, and that the whole narrative you feed it too. But my system is like, no, I'm actually scared. I'm just a weak Asian man who doesn't, physically small, and then I can't really speak English and all that stuff. It just plays into your hands, and all that, and then the shame of that, or being non-whites, and you know, I could just feel that all day long, like and but I can share that with other people too. Some of my Asian friend or Japanese friend, and we kind of reinforce each other. So there's that kind of thing, and there's a mean being man or Asian woman is different, or being Japanese, not being Chinese or Korean is different. There's whole nuances of it that we can play into that I was actually carrying into because it's so safe. You know, it's so safe to kind of play that. Then I can go to war with it. But of course, you're racist. I could make all of you racist. I can make all white people racist. You know what I mean? But you have to see beyond that. But that's the real safety. I was so angry about it, but I had to always be nice. I had to always, like authority stuff, let the white man be the white, I'm just, the weak guy. But you give your power and there's so much of that, there's so much suffering and so much pain there, but so much compulsion to keep going back there, so much of my needs are met there, so much of my shame and all those things. So I can keep hating. So I can keep hating, this the resentment towards authority, majority, all of that too. So that's just, I don't know if I answered your thing, but I mean, that could happen to many of you, like it's collective, but it's so individual at the same time. Or we the one who reinforce it from our own heart. So we could never really speak truth of racism. I could never speak about racism until I did the work because all I could see was my heart and my pain through myself about racism or anything like that, and that's why. But the world is full of that. And you talk about collective, I don't want to get too political here, but the whole Israel and all that, there's a whole victimhood, whole collective trauma they can use against people and from coming from their own heart. So they go as far as not seeing other people as humans anymore. No children, not to see children as humans. Imagine how much pain and trauma you had to carry collectively for you to be able to bomb children because the hurt that was done to me, right? But that's how much how big it is, and we all have that. All of us have that in ourselves. And until we actually individually look into that, we could never actually go up and speak about it, or because I can't hear anyone else. I can't hear opposite side, the racist side, the right wing side, because I can only see from my heart, and then it's just they I've already made up my mind what they are, so I can't really hear whatever they say. It's like whatever you're racist, and there's so much safety in that. But when you open up to it, you can really kind of see, and there's so much freedom in that, so much, you know. And for men and women, we can, if you're a woman, it's not as easy for women as well, in many a men as well, or like different cultures, there's just so many conditioning we carry too. So there's a lot to unpack there. So you can actually see it for yourself, not to accumulate as a concept, and because it's safer to believe, oh, woman is this, man is like this, I should be behave like this. When man says this to me, this is what I do. When woman says this is this, and it's like it's so easy to, and there's nothing wrong in itself because world is full of that, and that's what I'm not saying everyone's equal and all that stuff. That's another dangerous place that me and Dan can talk about, the whole equality and the greenness. I'm not talking about. If anything, we see the non-equalness, the beauty in non-equalness, the variety and the diversity, you know. But we just want to flatten everything. I wanted to flatten everyone to be same from coming from my heart. You know, when I was fighting for racism, I said everyone should be equal. And like, I don't even know what that means. I'm just speaking from my heart because you did this to me, and I feel like this, and I am a victim of you guys. You know, it's like so. It's just I could go to war. You know, that kind of thing. But yeah, yeah.